over the last few weeks to months or so, and of course, shout out to DETV, this DETV segment of Team Nitty Radio, where we've been, inviting various political candidates to the show. We've been discussing various things, their platforms, what they plan on doing to change things in the capacity of which they'll serve, should they be elected to such said offices, things of that nature. Of course, we've been interviewing a lot of mayoral candidates. We've interviewed city council candidates. And today, we have somebody new for y'all. We have a new office for y'all. We got a lot to learn. I got a lot to learn. This young lady right here, she's running for lieutenant governor, Democratic lieutenant governor of the great state of Delaware. She's a Delaware native. I'm going to get into the small degrees of separation in a second after we introduce her. We're going to kick her feet up on the couch with everybody else, grab a drink, hang back with the crew. We're going to have a good old time. We're going to learn some things about the lieutenant governor. We're going to learn some things about her. Please, one time, y'all, give it up. Kathy McGuiness in the building with Team Nitty Radio. How you doing, Ms. McGuiness?
Very well, thank you.
That's good to hear. That's great to hear. Now, I'm going to ask you, like I ask everyone else that comes into this show, for the people that don't know, who is Kathy McGuiness?
Kathy McGuiness is a Delaware native, born in Kent County, raised in Sussex, working mom of 3, city commissioner, my 14th year of Rehoboth Beach, founding president of the national award-winning nonprofit Rehoboth Beach Main Street, which helped reshape and recreate the beach area and create jobs. And what else? I can tell you, I've had 2 small businesses. I'm a realtor and a pharmacist.
Okay. So, all right, we're going to cover some of these things. So, first of all, just like our Brown Eye Perspective host right here, you're a Cape Penelope
yes.
as well.
Yes. Go Vikings.
Okay.
Go Vikings.
Delaware native and born in Kent, raised in Sussex.
Yes.
Okay, so the roots run deep, and you just mentioned, some Tracy's people.
Oh, yeah.
From around the way. So, yeah, definitely more. So now, all right, let's get this straight now. Business owner.
Yes.
Pharmacist.
Yes.
You have a biology degree too, right?
Yes.
So biology and pharmacy. Okay. Rehoboth Beach Commissioner.
Yes.
How does all this now become? I want to be a lieutenant governor.
Well, I tell people when they ask me, why did you choose that office? I said, it chose me.
Okay.
Timing is everything. And I have the experience of the nonprofit. I have the experience of the municipal. And I know how to run a business.
Okay.
I know how to balance a budget. I know how to hire folks, bid out insurance, the whole thing. And what we need now in Delaware are jobs.
Okay.
And I understand that. Yeah. So what I bring is not only experience, but results, real life results.
Now, with that said, I'm going to backtrack a little because, of course, if you hear the word governor, we just think of the governor.
Correct.
We don't think about lieutenant governor, things of that nature. And people generally, I guess for the most part, they feel they know what the role of a governor is. Now, what is the role of a lieutenant governor?
The lieutenant governor presides over the Board of Pardons, and also in the event there is a tie that needs to be broken in the Senate, they break the tie. So they preside over the Senate and the Board of Pardons, 2 very important decision-making jobs. And, one of the jobs presiding over the Board of Pardons is life-changing.
Right.
It affects a whole family, an extended family, whether someone can get a job, depending on the record, or can they excel in a job. So it's very important. And you need someone who's strong and decisive, who will listen to all sides and make a decision.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to jump right into it now because, one of the things we have discussed, we've been discussing it mainly with the mayoral candidates and some of the city council candidates down in the city of Wilmington, of course. It's been about, crime, has been about the penal system, it's been about what happens after you get out, avoiding recidivism, things of that nature. So now, when we think about the part of when you actually get out of, when you're free from incarceration, you serve your time, or what have you, and this term comes up a lot. Which is pardons, trying to get pardons, okay?
Correct.
You hear about pardons, expungements, a lot in the field that I used to work in. I used to work in human services. And, one thing that I always hear about is how difficult it is to actually get this pardon that I speak of. And then, truth be told, a lot of times people don't even know the steps it takes to even begin to apply for a pardon or, petition for a pardon and things of that nature.
Correct.
So,
correct.
First of all, if you could give us a quick synopsis of what a pardon is, and how one goes about getting it, and then we'll go from there.
Well, what will happen is, and I sit in the Board of Pardon meetings in Dover, in the audience, but what happens is, let's say you have an opportunity and you have a record and you want to get that expunged, or there's different pathways to go through.
Right.
Okay, so one of them is a pardon, and this board of 5 will sit there and listen. And they also have, there's an attorney.
Right.
Sometimes people that are going before the Board of Pardons also will have an attorney or somebody with them, counsel. And there's recommendations that's made. Then this board makes their decision, sometimes right there. Sometimes they have enough information in front of them. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they go back in the chamber and discuss. And they come out, they actually don't pardon. They make a recommendation to the governor. Then the governor makes the pardon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So now, and you said you sat in on them. You sat in the audience. So, of course, I guess you've seen whether someone gets, recommended for a pardon or
Yes.
they get told they're not going to be recommended.
Yes.
Maybe try again in the
Yes.
years if you make some changes.
Yeah.
Well, again, a lot of the rumblings are it's so difficult to get one. If you feel that's the case, why is that the case? Because and before you go on, because I'm going to go on a role play here. I'm Joe
Okay.
Schmo.
Okay.
I'm on the outside looking in. Well, hell, if a guy's or a woman, gal's done their time, they served their time and they've stayed out of trouble, they did their probation or whatever, paid their fines and whatever needs to do. Why is it still that they might get turned down for this pardon?
You know what? Each case is different. Sometimes someone might have done something 15 years ago, or they were, under 18. We're different people from when we're a teenager. We grow
Right.
and we change, and our perspectives change as we get older. So, I think when there's a longer time,
Okay.
it's different than when someone just did something. They keep having repeat offense, and come and ask for a pardon, and it could have been as early as a few months ago. Your chances haven't seemed so positive of getting a pardon. I think, but you have to. Everybody's different. Every situation's different. The time factor, the crime factor. So a lot of these things go into account. What I'd like to see, what I've proposed, is to look at the demographics. Look who's coming before the Board of Pardons, and then perhaps get 2 public members that can relate.
Right.
That someone who's going there can relate to as well. And I think that might balance out the board as well.
Now, as the lieutenant governor, is that a change you would be, I guess, within your authority to petition for?
I could advocate for it, but it would have to be they'd have to change the Constitution, which you could do.
Okay.
I mean, legislators make and change and amend laws all the time.
True.
So
now we won't get hung up on pardons because, of course,
Okay.
the role of the lieutenant governor runs, much broader than that.
Sure.
So now, in speaking with candidates, every candidate that we've spoken to, regardless of whatever office they were running, they all felt like there was some change needed within the office that they're running for. Some sort of change. Like, for instance, I'm not sure if you probably have heard about it because, again, small world, smaller state.
Sure.
The race for the mayor of Wilmington.
Yeah.
Everybody's mentioning some kind of change that needs to be done within that office or that administration, whether it's because of the crime situation or, economic reform, education, ABC, XYZ.
Right.
So now, here we are, Lieutenant Governor. What is it that you feel can be changed for the better if Kathy McGuiness is voted in as Lieutenant Governor?
Okay, so whoever gets voted in, you have those 2 defined duties.
Okay.
Hands down, that's what you do. And then you can come in and advocate for something else. Mine would be jobs, economy. There's a lot of moving parts. Okay, we have 3 counties. I look at Kent, Sussex, Wilmington, and Newcastle.
Okay.
So it's almost like 4 different entities. They all have challenges.
Right.
They all have successes. And they need to be addressed, but we need to also start looking at Delaware as one,
Okay.
as one large community instead of, oh, well, you're from there or your problem doesn't matter because I'm in Sussex. Yes, it matters what's going on in Wilmington. It should all matter because there really aren't any boundaries. We're pretty small, and by some standards, we're the same as a county in another state. What I would change, I would advocate for jobs, et cetera, but I'd also like to establish maybe a fund or put resources aside for different programs. Again, each lieutenant governor works and is the support system for the governor. Right. So hopefully we have alignments where the governor could say, you know what, yes, go ahead, get some key talent together and, the best and the brightest and work on a particular issue.
Okay. So now it's funny that you mentioned jobs because, when I'm watching the news or reading the news, I get some of my best news off of social media, by the way. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Sure.
You hear about, okay, let's take DuPont, for instance. We're cutting X amount of jobs, right? We're going to cut 1 trillion jobs this month over the next 2 days. Of course, I'm exaggerating.
Right.
So we hear about these job cuts, especially from these big companies. But then now I'm on the outside looking in it again. I'm with Joe Schmo. How am I to believe that you can help create jobs if one of the biggest employers out here is cutting jobs?
Well, what we need to do is we need to start thinking outside the box because the chemicals, the cars, the chickens, those things are changing. And it's not all big business. We have to start thinking technology plays a huge role in the job market today. So that cannot be ignored. But there are opportunities. The key thing is to make sure you have the skills if that opportunity arises, because there's nothing worse than having the opportunity and not being able to take it. As far as jobs, the reason because I've had 2 small businesses, but as a founding president of Rehoboth Main Street, 20 years ago, and you two know this, my Cape friends over here, Rehoboth was a different place. And if you go back further, when I was a child, you could walk in the middle of the road after Labor Day. Okay. So when I opened my pharmacy, I said, my gosh, there's 17 empty storefronts. There's a defunct business association. We have these things on the highway called outlets popping up, and this new thing called online shopping. What's going on? To survive, what are we going to do? So we helped grow the season, grow jobs. And if you go down to our area now, which is booming, it's year round. There are lights on, there's business open, you can go to a particular restaurant in the middle of the winter and there's a wait. So it's a different day, and that was from hard work.
So is that part of what you accomplished as the Rehoboth
Beach
Commissioner?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. 14 years I've been there.
So now, and that's a lot of change. Now, I've been in Delaware for a while. Now, I'm not going to sit there and act like I'm an expert of Rehoboth. I've been there, I can count on one hand how many times I've been to Rehoboth. And I'm one of the people, I swear I'm going to go to the beach this year. I'm going to definitely go there, and I'll never make it, right? But I can't say I've seen change. But now, to hear about it.
Oh,
right,
it's true.
Which is a whole lot. How does one even begin, first of all, how does one formulate the plan for such change? And then how does one implement or execute such a plan?
Well, you've done it. I've done it on a small scale, so then you look at it on a larger scale. And we have to create a climate to either attract businesses or new business or help keep the ones that are here, if you will. There are burdensome regulations, permitting issues. We want to make a climate so it is thriving and there are jobs. And then the folks that are here, our talent, our Delawareans, will stay here and take advantage of it.
Okay. Now, again, from the outside looking in, because as I've learned today, a lieutenant governor is not appointed.
Correct.
They're elected.
Correct.
Voted in. So I guess I say that to say, and if I'm not mistaken, you're running for the Democratic lieutenant governor.
Yes.
So is that to say that you could potentially be the lieutenant governor to a Republican governor?
Absolutely. Yes. And every state's different, but Delaware, you run separately and you can be a separate party, and that's happened before.
Now, what would that relationship be like? Because of course, as a political layperson, if you will, I'm a caveman when it comes to logic, right? But I gotta think, okay, a Republican, especially if you're looking at what's going on in our presidential debate, right? You're like, well, if a Republican and a Democrat have to kind of work, and I'm just gonna assume, let's say hand in hand, because you hear governor and you hear lieutenant governor, you just assume that kind of goes one or the other, right? Kind of like boss and assistant boss or what have you. Could that create a big rift or any kind of problems?
It won't for me.
Okay.
I work with anybody and everybody to get results, and I've proven that. And in the city of Rehoboth, we are nonpartisan. So when I go knock on doors, I knock on voters' doors, regardless if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. I've run 5 times successfully, and I've always been the high vote getter.
Okay, definitely wonderful. And now
because I get results.
There you go. Now here's something that I've noticed that voters or the general public, community tends to often worry about too. And I say this because you mentioned door to doors, all right?
Yes.
And just based on what you've already done, even prior to being a Rehoboth Commissioner, having the small businesses out in the community, clearly people so you're in the community.
We're practically related right here.
There you go, see? and now you go door to door. But now one worries, okay, well, let's say she gets into office.
Right.
Will we no longer have in the community Kathy McGuiness? Will it just be email my whoever person is that you got to email and maybe somebody will get back to you?
No. And no, I have my through the city, my email is on the internet. I answer my emails, my phone calls. I've said before, we may not agree. We can agree to disagree, but you're going to get at least a response.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I hear your concern. I do face-to-face. I was just at 2 constituents' places on Friday. One has one concern about cars and parking. One had another concern. So, no, I'm available. I have been available, and I will continue to be available. And people who know me know that.
Okay, good.